All right. Good. Hello, everybody watching this after the fact. Thank you to the butts and seats. Everybody online, thank you for being here and for watching. It's fun for me to do workshops in person and have like real people to get feedback from. And then also to know that we can reach all these people live on Zoom and after the fact on YouTube. So thank you to everybody. We really enjoy having all of you here. Today we're going to talk about breath work. And this is the first in a 4-part series where we're going over breath work. And each time we do a breath work talk, it's going to have a different focus. Today's focus is on anxiety. I'm also going to go over some real super basic stuff just so that we're understanding all that. And the majority of what we're going to do today is actually breath work. I brought my metronome with me. It's going to help us keep time when we're doing these different breathing patterns. Sometimes I'll count out loud for you. One of the goals is that at the end of this video, we actually have something people can watch after the fact, and it's almost like a guided meditation, except it's guided breath work. So then they know, oh, this is the tempo that I breathe at. This is when I go in, this is when I go out. So let's jump in. 3D Wellness believes that there are 3 areas of knowledge that can dramatically improve one's life: breathwork, supplementation, and food. In this class, we will focus on breathwork. Everywhere you go, your lungs are with you. This makes it easy to use breathwork to your advantage. This is the first in a 4-part series about breathing. We will focus on resolving anxiety by choosing to breathe in a way that defeats anxiety. There are a few quotes from the book Breath that I will share with you, and then we will spend the remaining time together practicing breathing to defeat anxiety. If at any point you feel lightheaded, return to normal breathing. If you have any medical conditions that could be negatively stimulated by breath work, please just follow along instead of participating in the exercises. Safety first. This is powerful stuff, so everybody stay safe, okay? For those of you who don't know this book, this is one of the things I'm going to be referring to today. It's written by James Nestor. Whether you read the book or you do the audiobook, strongly recommend. The audiobook at the end of it, James, the author, does guided breath work that you can just listen to. So, really nice resource to have. Some quotes from that book. The perfect breath is this: breathe in for about 5.5 seconds, then exhale for about 5.5 seconds. That's 5.5 breaths a minute for a total of about 5.5 liters of air. You can practice this perfect breathing for a few minutes or a few hours. There's no such thing as having too much peak efficiency in your body. And I really like this quote because it makes me think of a lot of nutrition that comes up. People go, well, what happens if I get too nourished? Or what if my minerals get too balanced? Well, you can't have minerals that are too balanced. You can't have a heart that's too optimally functional. It's not an issue. It's interesting, though, breathing in for 5.5 seconds, out for 5.5 seconds, results in 5.5 breaths a minute and about 5.5 liters of air. Interesting how all that lines up with that same number. Next quote. It turns out that when breathing at a normal rate, our lungs will absorb only about 1/4 of the available oxygen in the air. The majority of that oxygen is exhaled back out. By taking longer breaths, we allow our lungs to soak up more in fewer breaths. Another way of saying that is our lungs prefer a slower tempo. They're more efficient, they're more effective at a slower tempo. Once you start working on breath work, you begin to notice all the people in your life who are breathing too quick. It's one of those things, you become aware of it and there's no going back. There's no unknowing it. Next quote. In a single breath, more molecules of air will pass in through your nose than all the grains of sand on all the world's beaches. Trillions and trillions of them. These little bits of air come from a few feet or several yards away. As they make their way towards you, they'll twist and they'll spool like stars in a Van Gogh sky. And they'll keep twisting and spooling and scrolling as they pass into you, traveling at a clip of about 5 miles per hour. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So that air is coming at us at about 5 miles an hour. If you want something to relate that to, you can't really walk at 5 miles an hour. By the time you get going that quick, if you were walking, you're basically jogging, just to give you a comparison. So imagine trillions and trillions of things coming at you at a jog. It's an interesting thing. This book has nothing to do with COVID, but he says right here, when we breathe optimally, the air that we're breathing in can be from just right in front of our face up to several yards away. And we can really pull air in from across the room. This is another thing that when we talk to people about fragrances, perfumes, dryer sheets, laundry detergent, sprays, Febreze, air fresheners, all these things, what you are wearing on your body or your clothing is affecting people because they're breathing it in, even if they are several yards away from you. Next quote. For every 10 pounds of fat lost on our bodies, 8.5 pounds of it comes through the lungs. Most of it is carbon dioxide mixed with a bit of water vapor. The rest is sweated or urinated out. This is a fact that most doctors, nutritionists, and other medical professionals have historically gotten wrong. The lungs are the weight-regulating system of the body. I have a personal theory about this. Cardio, when you're exercising, is actually not the most efficient way to lose body fat. Doing resistance training is more effective because resistance training not only causes you to burn calories while you're doing it, it sets you up hormonally to burn more calories for 24 hours after you do it. So when people do more cardio, part of the reason they lose weight is because they are breathing more, because they are forced to breathe more deeply, because they're taxing their heart and their cardiovascular system. And the lungs are the way we get rid of 85% of the body fat that we lose. So I think it's just because they're breathing more that they're losing the weight. Next quote. Left nostril breathing shifts blood flow to the opposite side of the prefrontal cortex. That's this part of your brain. The right area that plays a role in creative thought, emotions, formation of mental abstractions, and negative emotions. So this quote gets a little tricky for some people. I really like the idea of promoting our creativity because creativity is something we use in problem solving. People read that last part where it says, but Drew, it's also stimulating the negative emotion part of our brain. So we have Kleenex out, big box for me. These little packages that I think are totally adorable that we're giving away to people this winter of tissues. Now, it might be because I'm going to encourage people to use their nose to breathe, and it's going to get their nose running a little bit because there's going to be more hot air and moisture going through there. But it's also because some of us might start crying. When we read that left nostril breathing stimulates the part of our brain that deals with negative emotions, that's not a negative event. It may help our brain to process the negative emotion, and in processing it, overcome it. So just because we're stimulating that part of our brain, it's not bad. We might actually fix some problems. Next, the fix is easy. Breathe less. But that's harder than it sounds. We've become conditioned to breathe too much, just as we've been conditioned to eat too much. Remember, this is from the breath book. This isn't Drew Detzner talking. With some effort and training, however, breathing less, and for that matter, eating less, can become an unconscious habit. As you practice this, you have to think about it less, and you notice more and more people in your life who are not doing this. Especially in situations where I've noticed it. If I'm sitting on a train with strangers, in a movie theater, in a restaurant, standing in a line, I notice how shallow people breathe, how fast they're breathing, and then I can't help but also notice some of their other behaviors where they seem like they are anxious or not at ease. And the last quote before we get to it. But the changes triggered by the rapid industrialization of farmed foods were severely damaging. Within just a few generations of eating this stuff, modern humans became the worst breathers in Homo history, the worst breathers in the animal kingdom. Again, this is James Nestor, the author of Breath. In his research about breathing, he discovered that the food we are being fed today is having a potent negative influence on the way that our airways work. When I talk to people about quality food and quality supplements, and I make a really big deal about stuff, and I encourage you to do things like grass-fed beef or organic strawberries instead of non-organic strawberries, it's not just opinion, it is confirmed by people researching things beyond the realm of nutrition. Any questions on those quotes? No? Everybody online is good. All right. The type of breathing we're going to do today is called resonant breathing. It's also outlined in the book Breath. This calming practice aligns the heart, the lungs, and the circulatory system in peak efficiency. There is no more essential technique than this. That's why we're starting with this one. This is by far the most core, the most important breathwork technique I can ever share with a person. It is for people who are beginner all the way to advanced, and I want to talk about using your mouth versus your nose. Ideally, we would breathe in our nose and out our nose. Like that. Okay? Not everybody can do that. That's okay. It's really not a big deal. I know there are people I've worked with, the day they show up to do breath work with me, they have a stuffy nose. They can't breathe in through it. But we can actually help resolve that stuffy nose if we breathe in the mouth and out the nose. It's like blowing your nose 5 times a minute for 10 minutes straight. Turns out that'll clear out some debris from inside there. If that's what you need to do when you're doing this, fantastic. Fantastic. I'm glad you're doing the breath work. And of course, the last scenario is when we go out through our mouth and in through our nose. For some people, when they are first practicing breathing with their nose and trying to do it exclusively with their nose, it actually promotes anxiety. Because it can be very uncomfortable for people to have to pull in air with their nose when they have not trained the muscles in their diaphragm and in their chest and in their neck and in their face to have an effective intake of the breath. Okay? So if we do in the nose, nice and slow and steady, and we can breathe out through the mouth, for a lot of people, that resolves this anxiety. Because often when we're breathing in through our nose and practicing that for the first time, we do too much in and not enough out. But by doing out through the mouth, it's much easier to let the air out fast, and then people are actually emptying their lungs, which helps decrease anxiety. So, moral of the story is, whether you want to do all mouth, all nose, mix, there's no wrong way. Yes, just do it. Just breathe. We're here to breathe. That's what we're going to do. Our goal is going to be to do 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out, and repeat that. What I have set up here is my metronome. I'll play it for you so you can get a vibe of what it'll be like. So we listen right here. Slightly different tone. That's every 6. It's doing that. When you hear that different tone, you change the direction of the air. So it would be in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm also going to call that out while I play this. It's going to make it easier for you to know what tempo you're at. And then based on the feedback from the butts and seats, you can tell me faster, slower, whatever suits you, okay? The tempo I chose is a relatively easy tempo for people just to practice. The beeps are going by fast, but the rate at which you change between intake and output is still pretty slow. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on. We'll breathe in for 6. We'll go out for 6. We're going to do just a few cycles of this. I'd like us to get 5 or 6 cycles of it the first time we do it, and then we'll stop. If you feel lightheaded, stop immediately. No futzing around, even though you have chairs with backs and arms. Nobody's getting hurt today. The other thing I put out for you is some really nice pink granite rocks. If you start to feel lightheaded, another thing you can do is just hold on to these. Just gripping it, one hand, both hands, on the table, in your hands, whatever. Touching it, holding it can really help with lightheadedness. I'm hopeful that the microphone picks this up for everybody in YouTube land. We're going to go in for 6, out for 6. We're going to do a couple of patterns of that. I'll call it out for you. Everybody get a nice reset breath going. Just normal breath. Think about that stupid cartoon you read in the Sunday morning paper when you were 7. Okay, stupid cartoon. Okay. On this next one. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. One more. In. Out. Cool. Normal breathing. Nice, relaxed. Try to not have attention on your breath. It's tough after you just had attention on your breath. Are you lightheaded?
A little bit.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? That was just half a minute, right? Sorry, about a minute. In 1 minute, you can get that. Same author has a really wonderful book called Get High on Your Own Supply. And it's different breathwork techniques that throughout the ages people have used to quote unquote get high. Really what it does is it just supercharges your brain and your nervous system. At all, especially in our modern world, we are not used to it. You're right.
I feel like that timing is perfect because that used up all the air I had in my
Okay,
mouth.
that's feeling good for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was maximum for me right now.
Cool. Good. I like that tempo. I do it a little bit slower once I get warmed up. But to start, it's a great one. We don't have to go slower today. But if you're starting to feel like you can in and out for longer, go ahead and tell me. I can change that tempo. Okay. What I want to do now is do it for a few more exchanges. I want to see if we can get about 2 minutes worth of it going, of the in and the out. We're approximately doing in for 5.5 seconds, out for 5.5 seconds. We just want to practice this pattern. Feel ready?
Yeah, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Is there any advantage or difference in just doing all mouth in and out versus the nose? Would that change the dizziness at all? Or is there any more ease to doing the mouth versus the nose?
Very good question.
As a beginner?
Yeah. As a beginner or as advanced,
Okay.
for any of it. The question was, is there any advantage to doing strictly mouth breathing, strictly nose breathing? The advantage comes from doing strictly nose breathing. There are cells inside of our sinus cavities that read the air, that actually take measurements. What is in the air? How much nitrogen, how much oxygen, how much pollutant, how much carbon dioxide, etc. And they send info to the brain. They say, hey brain, here's what we took in. And when you breathe out through the nose, those same cells read the air again. And they say, brain, we took in ABC and we put out BCD, just so you know. Here's what's chemically happening. That actually allows our brain to change our chemistry.
Cool.
The mouth doesn't have those cells. For beginners, in and out through the mouth is often easier because they can do more air. It feels like more air. The nose is higher quality air because it has that brain feedback loop built in.
Very good.
But for today, whatever works. In through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the mouth, out through the nose, whatever. All right. On the next one, here we go. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Take breaks if you need to. In, out, in, out, in, out. Let's do 3 more. In, out, in, out, in, out. Very good. People taking breaks when they need to. All right, I'm curious. Lightheaded again?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit?
I was trying to stay more calm through it, more present-minded through it, feeling the coolness in my nostril.
Yeah.
You know, just being here and not letting my brain take me anywhere else.
That is one of the secret benefits when you focus on being here and feeling the air going in your body and out of your body. That's something that psychologists tell people to do to combat anxiety. Not even breath work. Just breathe however you're going to breathe, whatever tempo you're going to breathe, even if it's shallow and panicked. But feel the air while you do that. And often what happens is it puts your attention on something other than your anxiety. You start to go, oh, my nose is really cold when I do that. That's wild, you know. I thought it was full of hair and like pretty well insulated. No, it turns out it's pretty cold when I... Can I change that? Oh, I breathed out really slowly. My nose got nice and warm. And just that change, all of a sudden I'm just focused on, can I make my nose warm? Instead of, I'm anxious. So cool that you're feeling that and paying attention to that. Really good. What we've been doing is about 3.5 seconds in, 3.5 seconds out. That's at that tempo. So I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Nothing crazy. And I want us to slowly work our way towards that 5.5. The goal being for everybody watching this after the fact and listening to this after the fact, this is a really good progression, more on the beginner end of the scale. You can start with doing the shorter in, shorter out that we've been doing so far. And now we're going to progress and you can work towards this. It's kind of goal setting. Might not be able to hold the whole 6 in, 6 out thing. That's okay. Do your best. We're just going to go for 5 or 6 repetitions of this, part of this progression. Hear that difference? On this next one. In, out, in, out, in, out. Good work. In, out. One more. Here it is. In, out. All right, so that's about 4.5 seconds each direction. What's everybody feeling?
Glad we did the warm-up.
Yes, glad we did the warm-ups. Absolutely.
I really liked the calmer sense that brought into my beingness.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Sometimes the slower tempo, even though more challenging, promotes more calm. Because it's just more like, I'm really going to focus on doing this. I'm just really with how I'm breathing because I need to actually hit the goal of in for this long, out for this long.
It didn't feel longer, even though there were
Oh, it didn't feel longer. Yeah.
Added to it. It didn't feel like
It's about 1/3 longer and it didn't really feel cool. We're going to do it again. Here's the next part of the progression. We're going to go for another 5 or 6 rotations. First, normal breath. Tying my shoe, going out to my car, forgot my car keys, going back in the house, got my car keys. All right. A little bit slower. On this next one. In. Out. In, out, in, out. Good work. In, out. We're going to do one more. Here it is. In, out. All right. Now, does that feel longer?
It did feel longer,
Yeah.
and my body turned into an hourglass.
Oh, your body turned into an hourglass.
It forced me to fill the abdomen first,
Yeah.
and then I felt my lungs fill up.
Yeah.
To accommodate that length of time, and it was perfectly fine.
Wonderful.
I did it.
Yeah. So there's a natural phenomenon that just took place. Often when people are taught about breath work, the first thing they talk about is proper technique. You have to move your belly. You can't move your chest. You have to breathe out your sides, not, all these different cues and ways of doing it. What I have found again and again is when you slowly work up to longer intervals, longer in, longer out, you will naturally do the right thing. Because people figure out if they just try to breathe up here, you can't last long enough to do the in and out. But when you breathe in down here, all of a sudden there's so much more room and that interval becomes easier. So I try to not harp on technique. Just like I said, in mouth, in nose, out nose, whatever combo. And then as we go longer and longer, people naturally gravitate towards the more optimal. All right, I'm going to slow it down again. This is just about 5.5 seconds. I'll play it for you. Just so you know, just a little insider info. When it slows down, it's tough for me to not say in and out quicker. When I'm doing the breath work, it's easy for me to participate, but when I'm calling in and out, I'm always like, come on, why aren't we doing this quicker? Just a silly Drew thing. All right, it's different, right? Here's one. Okay. We're going to go on the next cycle. Here it is. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Good breath. In. Out. We're going to do one more. Here it is. In. Out. Very good. Yeah, some sore neck muscles tomorrow, maybe. Really gets your belly working. Some people even get some lower back tightness when they do this because our good breathing techniques actually cause our back muscles to engage. Some people get a sore neck. Some people have tingly fingers and tingly toes. It's all really normal when you're doing this kind of breath work. That was just about the tempo for 5.5 in, 5.5 out. What did you experience?
That I was forced to slow down my breathing in order to maximize that length of time. In the beginning, I filled up everything, and then I had to hold it for a while to catch up to the beats to finish to exhale. So I just had to self-regulate that pattern.
And that's actually a really good point. If we get off tempo, how do we get back in tempo? Breathe however you need to until you feel the rhythm again. And it might take you 2 or 3 loops of hearing that beep and hearing me call in and out before you actually find yourself back in the rhythm. Okay, I'm glad you're back in the rhythm. That's the goal. That's what I wanted to do today. We have some really nice starter tempo for everybody at home who has a metronome and would like to practice this on their own, I started at 40 beats per minute in 6/8 time, if you're really curious. And eventually we worked our way by sixes. So I went from 40 beats a minute to 34 beats a minute to 28. And then we concluded at 22, and that's just about the 5.5 in and out. So if you want to do that at home with a metronome, you can go ahead and do that. Okay? Remember, whether you are beginner or advanced, there are ways to breathe to make anxiety less of a part of your life. And the answer is yes. If you ask me, should I breathe in and out through my mouth, or in and out through my nose, or in my mouth and out my nose, or out my mouth and in my nose? The answer is yes. I just want you to breathe, working towards that 5.5 in, 5.5 out. It's resonant breathing. And this workshop handout is available. You can shoot us an email. For all you watching after the fact, you can give us a call and we can snail mail it to you. That works too. Thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next breath workshop.